I've been reading a lot lately, posts and articles about how restrictive eating is too hard and can't really be maintained long term. What a bunch of hooey. For some people that may be true, but not for everyone. My name is Zippi. I'm a registered nurse and certified food addiction counselor, and welcome to the weekly Zippi Live. Every single week at 4:30 GMT plus 2 Israel time, 9:30 a.m. EST, I go on my social media live and talk about a different subject. And for today, I want to talk about why there are some people who, for them, it's not a matter of what's better or more healthy. Everybody knows that not eating sugar is good for you, right? But it's a matter of what's easiest. What is the easiest thing to do, and is it maintainable? So this is what I want to discuss today. And the same way, for example, I am Jewish, I am Orthodox, I keep kosher. This is a restrictive way of eating. There are some foods that I do not put in my mouth. Now, you could call it a restrictive way of eating. That's impossible to maintain. I've maintained it since I'm born, right? Why? Because I chose to do that because for me, on a spiritual level, it gives me a better life. Same thing goes for other food philosophies, like people who decide to become vegan because they have decided that for them, for their way of life, for their belief system, it does not suit them. It suits them more to give up certain foods because it makes them feel better. There are people who there's a lot of things like that happen. So calling, like selectively calling not eating sugar and flour restrictive is really just a certain semantic that perhaps promotes a certain opinion about food philosophy. But who has decided that not eating sugar and flour is extreme? There are a lot of people who, for different reasons, decide to give up certain foods because they know that for them it is better. And this is what I am saying, that there are certain people who are truly addicted to sugar and flour and hyper-processed foods, these sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods. And for many of them, it's not a matter of what's better or not better, but it's really the easiest thing to do is just to completely go off these addictive food substances and give up on them and just not have them. And now I'm going to explain to you why this specific group of people, it's even easier than just trying to eat in moderation and continually failing. Because there are some people who their brain is more sensitive than others to that addictive pull of sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods. I always tell my clients to think about it like ADHD or a learning disability, right? It's like people who have dyslexia. It doesn't mean that they'll never learn to read. My sister has dyslexia and she's a professor in a university in Scotland of English lit. Like she did her PhD in English literature. But she learned different strategies how to read. And now it's the same thing. People who have a brain that is sensitive to that addictive pull of I call them SSH or crappy carbs, right? Is like sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods. Then what happens is that when they try to eat in moderation, rather than it's sort of that, you want to have some, you feel like having some, and then you say, okay, so I'll have a little bit. And then these people who have a little bit, it doesn't make that wanting go away. It's not like, oh, I had a yen for something and now, I ate it and everything's cool. What happens is when they eat it, and this is what happens to me, when they eat it, it makes them want even more. And so they eat more than they meant to. And then they want even more. And then they eat even more or go home and eat other stuff. And it causes what is called the phenomenon of craving, where then it's already, I don't want, I need it. or I can't manage without it. I can't live without it. And that's a lot of times what people who come to me, they say, how can I live without sugar? How can I live without the sweets? How can I live without bread? And then I teach people that there is life after bread. So for many people, if they try it and they actually manage to get off it, to detox it from it, then they find that it's actually easier not to have any than to have a little bit and stop. One of my greatest friends and my mentor, who helps me in, and supports me in my sugar-free journey and life, she always has this. She says, if it's not an option, it's not a problem. And it's true. Once sugar and flour were not an option anymore, it wasn't a problem anymore either. And that is, for me, it made it so much easier. That's the truth. And that's how I've been living for 25 years. So somebody saying it, you can't maintain it. I mean, do sometimes people slip up? Yeah. Do sometimes people have a relapse? Yeah. That's part of the, that's part of the disease called addiction. You know what? I also know some vegans who kind of like broke and had a bite of hamburger or something like that. Does that mean they're not vegan anymore? Or does it mean that they have a certain belief system, but they're also human beings and they like kind of messed up, but they went back to their way? It's the same thing also, like, with people who eat halal or kosher, so what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be perfect in order to say, this is how I eat. This is my way of life. It doesn't have to necessarily mean that if I give up sugar and flour, I am being restrictive on myself. It means that I am choosing to give up a certain food because I really believe that for me, it gives me a better life. And that has been proven true for me and for many people around the globe, that I hear their stories over and over and over again. And especially now, when the data is coming out, the scientific data is coming out, that these sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods actually are addictive, like cigarettes, like alcohol, like drugs. And some people are finding that abstaining from addictive foods is actually easier for them, the same way like a heavy smoker abstains from cigarettes or an alcoholic abstains from alcohol. Because when you have a little bit, it triggers that system in the brain that automatically wants to go for more and just reaches for more and reaches for more and more and more. So if you feel you're one of those people, don't let those articles and posts about how restricted eating is not good for you. For some people, that's definitely true. I do not think that this has to be a way for everyone. But there are definitely a large group of people for who giving up sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods completely and taking it out of the options of what they eat means that they don't have a problem with it anymore. That is what has given me the best life that I couldn't even imagine. I stopped fighting. I stopped getting in the rink with these foods that made me lose again and again. So now when I go to a party, I don't have to have that negotiation in my head. Am I going to have some popcorn? I'm going to have some cake. Am I not? Blah, 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 blah. Now here's the thing. There's no free lunch, okay? Our nutritional surrounding environment today is very against eating healthy. What is called an obesogenic, right? It is something that promotes obesity. So somebody who gives up sugar and flour today, I a lot of times really do compare it to like somebody who gave up smoking in the 40s or 50s, when like even doctors were recommending you smoke, right? Because it's relaxing and it helps you focus, or God knows what. But anyway, today it's not an acceptable thing. That's the truth. And it means that somebody who gives up sugar and flour does have to maybe plan more, right? If you go out to a restaurant, you have to check the menu and make sure that there's something you can order. Maybe take food with you in certain times. And yes, it does mean giving up on a certain amount of spontaneity with food. And sometimes that's hard. But as I always say, you know what? It's even harder walking around 24/7, obsessing about food, kilos more and feeling heavy and tired and irritated and guilty about what I'm eating and not feel good about myself and looking at myself and not liking the way I look and all that. That's no picnic either, right? So I always say, choose your hard. So I've heard that. I love that expression, choose your hard. Because I always say to my clients and to people, just ask yourself, what's the alternative? If the alternative is to just have a tiny little bit and really eat healthy, great, you don't need this video. But if you know, that planning ahead means that the rest of the day your head is free, you have a free mind to live your life, or you're obsessed 24/7 about what you did eat, didn't eat, are gonna eat, are not gonna eat, blah, 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 you know, that washing machine on spin in your head about food. If that's the alternative, well, then maybe, you know, planning ahead a little and giving up on some spontaneity isn't such a bad thing. So that's the question, right? What am I getting? What am I giving up? And what am I getting? For me, and for the many people who I help detox and live a sugar-free life, and for the, I think, probably hundreds of thousands of people that I've over the years seen that miraculous things happen to them when they give up sugar and flour. So it's a matter of, you know, I give up a certain amount of spontaneity and some time in my day to prep and plan for the food to make sure that I have healthy choices available for me and near me. And what I get is sustained weight loss, feeling good about myself, being healthy, feeling energetic, and having lots of energy and a better mood. So that's what I gave up, and that's what I'm getting. Well, the other choice for me is really the gain is, yeah, I can have this like very immediate satisfaction because I felt like having the cake and I did have some. But then the price for that is all the rest of that time, except for those 5 minutes when I took that bite of cake, all the rest of the time obsessing about food and feeling bad and feeling heavy and irritated and tired and aches and pains and my legs aching. And, well, I guess you guys understand the rest. So my message is that some people, especially people who feel like for them these sugary, starchy foods are addictive and they are more sensitive, their brain is more sensitive to that addictive pull to these addictive foods. For these people, many times learning to abstain from them completely can be easier. That is my message to you for today. So for all those who have joined me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, thank you very much for being here. If you're watching the recording, because you can get the recording every single week to your email if you sign up in the link that's in the description to the video, or on Instagram, it's in the link tree in my bio. You can get Zippi live straight to your inbox every single week and watch the recording. The other thing I would like to say is, please remember that every like, share, and comment, you are doing a service to many other people, because every time someone likes, shares, or comments on this video, more people are exposed to it and will be watching it. And who knows, maybe because of your like or your share or your comment, exactly the person who needed to hear this message did, because of you. So thank you very much, and I will see you next week at 4:30 p.m. GMT +2 Israel time, 9:30 a.m. EST on the weekly Zippi Live. Bye-bye.